Good evening. My name is Korryn Hart, and this is my brother, Korrey Hart. It is truly our honor to be here again this year and serve as your host this evening. What is an African American read-in? In 1990, the Black Caucus of the National Council of Teachers of English accepted a recommendation to sponsor a national read-in that featured professional African American writers. The read-in was endorsed by the International Reading Association. During the month of February, schools, communities, and professional organizations have been urged to make illiteracy a significant part of Black History Month by hosting an African American read-in. With that charge, over 1 million readers from all over the world and ethnic groups have made it a goal to celebrate African American literacy as a traditional part of Black History Month activities. Why have an African American read-in? According to Dr. Jerry Cobe Scott, a retired professor and director of the Reading Center at the University of Memphis, and an active member of both the National Council of Teachers of Education and the National Counselors of Teachers of English Black Caucus, we should have an African American read-in to, quote, promote diversity in children's literature, encourage young people to read, and shine a spotlight on African American authors, end quote.
On behalf of Carroll County Public Schools, the Carroll County Chapter of the NAACP, and the Carroll County Public School Libraries, we welcome you to the second African American read-in held in Carroll County. At this time, Nicole Banks, representative of the Westminster High School National English Honor Society, will bring greetings.
Good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes, okay. So again, welcome everyone. I want to thank you all for showing your support for this event. There are a few individuals and groups that I would like to recognize who are in the house. So if I call your name, would you please stand and remain standing? Lynn Wheeler, Executive Director of Carroll County Library. Tony Eckerd, Director of Finance, Carroll County Library. Jean Lewis, President of the Carroll County branch of the NAACP. Bob Lord, Board Member of the Carroll County Public Schools. Pam Zappardino, Mary and Ira Zepp Center for Peace and Nonviolence and Common Ground on the Hill Board Member and First Vice President of the NAACP. Charles Harrison, Legal Redress for the Carroll County NAACP. Virginia Harrison, Board Member CCPS. Roxana Harlow, Higher Learning, Inc., and Kimberly Jones, Secretary, NAACP. Also, if you are a Carroll County Public School teacher or National English Honor Society representative or advisor, students here for support of your friends and or family members, and parents of students, would you please stand? I realize that it's very dark in here, and it was hard to see that, but I want to bring attention to the fact that that amount of support is so immense and so necessary for events like this to take place. And I personally want to thank each and every one of you for not only attending this event, but for supporting people you know who are performing and had any hand in this. So please give yourselves another round of applause. Thank you. So last year I was a performer in this event, and this year my role is slightly different. I'm the National English Honor Society representative, and I just wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about what we do in that society. So the National English Honor Society is an English Honor Society. It's national, so we do things that make English a very recognized language, and not just in our schools, but also in our communities. So we take time to tutor children from other schools, and we have writing contests for children in our schools. There are plenty of scholarship opportunities for our students. It's just a very incredible opportunity for students to take English into their own hands and to use it for their own expression. And I feel very proud to be a member of that society, and I know that it has supported me through a lot of hard times in my school and in our community. So I appreciate everyone who's involved in that community, and I would encourage everyone to get involved and or see what you can do to help support that society. So thank you again.
From Francis Scott Key High School, we will have Holly Morninghan and Casey Rowan performing Africa by Nikki Giovanni.
I am a teller of tales, a dreamer of dreams.
Shall I spin a poem around you? Human beings grope to strangers.
To share a smile, complain to lovers of their woes.
And never touch those who need be touched.
May I move on? The African is independent.
He is emancipated, and like the freedom he explores, his freedom rather than exploits.
His nation, worrying more about the condition of the woman than his position in the world.
I am a dreamer of dreams. In my fantasy, I see a person.
Not Proud for Pride is a collection of lions, or a magazine in Washington, D.C.
But a person who can be wrong and go on, or a person who can be praised and still work.
But a person who can let a friend share joy as easily as a friend shares a sorrow.
It's odd that all welcome a tale of disappointment, though few would notice satisfaction.
Have none of us been happy? I am a teller of tales.
I see kings and noblemen, slaves and serfs all selling.
And being sold for what end? To die for freedom or live for joy?
I am a teller of tales. We must believe in each other's dreams.
I'm told and I dream of me accepting you and you accepting yourself.
Will that stroke the tension between blacks and Africans?
I dream of truth lubricating our words. Will that ease 300 years?
And I dream of black men and women walking together side by side into a new world.
Described by love and bounded by difference, for nothing is the same except for oppression and shame.
May I spin a poem around you? Come, let's step into my web. And dream of freedom together. Like halfway through, I was like, okay, I need to stop taking the microwave. Like,
From Francis Scott Key High School, we have Skylar Wheeler performing I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou.
A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but long for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade wind soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worm is waiting on a dawn-bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams, his shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown, but long for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom.
From Francis Scott Key High School, we have Jenna Thomas performing Lift Every Voice and Sing by James Weldon Johnson.
Let us march on until victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way the which tears have been watered. We have come treading the path, the blood of the slaughtered, out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee, lest our hearts drunk from the wine of the world, we forgot thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God and true to our native land.
From Francis Scott Key High School, we have Maya Parmel and Jen Norris performing "The World is Coming to an End" by Prince E.A.
The air is polluted, the ocean's contaminated, the animals are going extinct, the economy's collapsed. Education is shot, police are corrupt, intelligence is shunned, and ignorance rewarded. The people are depressed and angry. We can't live with each other, and we can't live with ourselves. So everyone's medicated. We pass each other on the streets, and if we do speak, it's meaningless robotic communication. More people want 15 seconds of fame than a lifetime of meaning and purpose, because what's popular is more important than what's right. Ratings are more important than the truth. Our government builds twice as many prisons than schools. It's easier to find a Big Mac than an apple. And when you find the apple, it's been genetically processed and modified. Presidents lie.
Politicians trick us. Race is still an issue, and so is religion. Your God doesn't exist, my God does, and he is all-loving. If you disagree with me, I'll kill you, or even worse, argue you to death. 92% of songs on the radio are about sex. Kids don't play tag, they play twerk videos. The average person watches 5 hours of television a day, and it's more violence on the screen than ever before. Technology has given us everything we could ever want, and at the same time, stolen everything we really need. Pride is at an all-time high, humility an all-time low. Everybody knows everything, everybody's going somewhere. Ignoring someone, blaming somebody. Not many human beings left anymore, a lot of human doings. Plenty of humans lingering in the past, not many human beings. Money is still the root of all evil, yet we tell our kids don't get that degree, the jobs don't pay enough. Good deeds are only done when there's a profit margin. Videos of the misfortunes of others go viral. We laugh and share with them with our friends to laugh with us. Our role models today, 60 years ago, would have been examples of what not to be. There are states where people can legally be discriminated against because they were born a certain way. Companies invest millions of dollars hiring specialists to make little girls feel like they need makeup to be beautiful, permanently lowering their self-esteem because they will never be pretty enough to meet those impossible standards. Corporations tell us, buy, get this, get that, you must keep up.
You must fit in. This will make you happy, but it never does for long. So what can we do in the face of all of this madness and chaos? What is the solution? We can love. Not the love you hear in your favorite song on the radio. I mean real love, true love, boundless love. You can love each other from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed. Perform an act of kindness because that is contagious. We can be mindful during every interaction, planting seeds of goodness, showing a little more compassion than usual. We can forgive because 300 years from now, will that grudge you hold against your friend, your mother, your father have been worth it? Instead of trying to change others, we can change ourselves. We can change our hearts.
We have been sold lies, brainwashed by our leaders and those we trust, to not recognize our brothers and sisters, and to exhibit anger, hatred, and cruelty. But once we truly love, we will meet anger with sympathy, hatred with compassion, cruelty with kindness. Love is the most powerful weapon on the face of the earth. Robert Kennedy once said that few will have the greatness to bend history, but each of us can work to change a small portion of events, and then in total of all those acts will be written in the history of a generation. So yes, the world is coming to an end, and the path towards the beginning starts within you.
From Francis Scott Key High School, we have Cindy Shibieri performing I Am Not My Hair by India Irie.
See, I can kind of recall a little way back, small trying to ball, always been black. And my hair, I tried it all, I even went flat. Had a lumpy cold top and all that crap, how now? Just trying to be appreciated, nappy-headed brothers never had no ladies. And I hit the barber shop real quick. Had him give me a little twist and it drove him crazy, then I couldn't get no job. 'Cause corporate wouldn't hire no dreadlocks, then I thought about my dogs from the block. Kinda understand why they chose to steal and rob. Was it the hair that got me this far? All these girls, these cribs, these cars? I hate to say it, but it seems so flawed. 'Cause success didn't come till I cut it all off. Little girl with the press and curl. Age 8, I got a Jerry curl. 13, I got a relaxer. I was a source of so much laughter. Oh my gosh. At 15, when it all broke off, 18 went all natural. February 2002, I went on and did what I had to do because it was time to change my life. To become the woman I am inside. 97 dreadlocks, all gone. I looked in the mirror for the first time and saw that I am not my hair. I'm not this skin. I'm not your expectations, no. Good hair means coals and waves, no. Bad hair means you look like a slave, no. At the turn of the century, it's time for us to redefine who we be. You can shave it off like a South African beauty or get it in lock like Bob Marley. You can rock it straight like Oprah Winfrey. If it's not what's on your hair, it's what's underneath. And say, who cares if you don't like that? With nothing to lose, posting with the wave cap and the cops want to harass because I got waves? Ain't seen nothing like that in my days. Man, you gotta change all those feelings. Steady judging one another by their appearance. Yes, India, I feel you, girl. Now go ahead, talk to the rest of the world, cause does the way I wear my hair make me a better person? Does the way I wear my hair make me a better friend? Does the way I wear my hair determine my integrity? I'm expressing my creativity. Breast cancer and chemotherapy took away her Korryn glory. She promised God if she was to survive, she would enjoy every day of her life. On national television, her diamond eyes are sparkling, bald-headed like a full moon shining, singing out to the whole wide world, hey, I'm not my hair, I'm not this skin, I'm not your expectations, no. I'm not my hair or this skin, I'm the soul that lives within.
From Francis Scott Key High School, we have Lexi Henneveld performing We the People Who Are Darker Than Blue by Curtis Mayfield.
We people who are darker than blue. Are we going to stand around this town and let what others say come true? We're just good for nothing, they all figure. A boyish, grown-up, shiftless jigger. Now we can't hardly stand for that, or is that really where it's at? We people who are darker than blue. This ain't no time for segregating. I'm talking about brown and yellow too. Hi, yellow girl, can't you tell? You're just the surface of our dark, deep well. If your mind could really see, you know your color the same as me. Pardon me, brother, as you stand in your glory. I know you won't mind if I tell the whole story. Get yourself together. Learn to know your side. Shall we commit our own genocide before you check out your mind? I know we've all got problems, and that's why I'm here to say, keep peace with me and I with you. Let me love in my own way. Now I know we have great respect for the sister and mother. It's even better yet. But there's the joker in the street, killing loving one brother and killing the other. When the time comes and we are really free, there will be no brothers left, you see. People who are darker, we the people who are darker than blue, don't let us hang around this town and what others say come true. We're just good for nothing, they all figure, a boyish, grown-up, shiftless jigger. Now we can't hardly stand for that, or is that really where it's at? Pardon me, brother, while you stand in your glory. I know you won't mind if I tell the whole story. Pardon me, brother, I know we come a long, long way, but let us not be so satisfied, for tomorrow can be an even brighter day.
From Century High School, we have Ella Breeden performing Homage to My Hips by Lucille Clifton.
These hips are big hips. They need space to move around in. They don't fit into little petty places. These hips are free hips. They don't like to be held back. These hips have never been enslaved. They go where they want to go, and they do what they want to do. These hips are mighty hips. These hips are magic hips. I have known them to put a spell on a man and spin him like a top.
From Century High School, we have Colton Sarah performing Be Nobody's Darling by Alice Walker.
Be nobody's darling. Be an outcast. Take the contractions of your life and wrap it around you like a shawl, to parry stones, to keep you warm. Watch the people succumb to madness with ample cheer. Let them look askance at you as you askance reply. Be an outcast. Be pleased to walk alone, uncool, or lie in the crowded riverbeds with other impetuous fools. Make a merry gathering on the bank where thousands perished for brave hurt words they've said. Be nobody's darling. Be an outcast, qualified to live among your dead.
I would first, before we continue, like to recognize Mr. Stephen Guthrie, the Superintendent of Schools. Thank you. From Liberty High School, we have Connor Wilbur performing Behold the Land by W.E.B. Du Bois.
The United States has long been hailed as the land of the free, but it hasn't always been this way. African Americans have long had a hard time forging their own American dream, but that hasn't stopped them from influencing the U.S. in amazing ways. So tonight, we're gathered here to experience and celebrate some of the many important contributions to society and U.S. culture that African Americans have made.
On October 20th, 1946, 78-year-old W.E.B. Du Bois delivered the address at the closing session of the Southern Youth Legislature in Columbia, South Carolina. The future of the American Negroes is in the South. Here, 327 years ago, they began to enter what is now the United States of America. Here they have made their greatest contribution to American culture, and here they have suffered the damnation of slavery, the frustration of Reconstruction, and the lynching of emancipation. I trust then that an organization like yours is going to regard the South as a battleground of the Great Crusade. Here is the magnificent climate, here is the fruitful earth under the beauty of the southern sun, and here, if anywhere on earth, is the need of the thinker, the worker, and the dreamer. This is the firing line, but not simply for the emancipation of the American Negro, but for the emancipation of the African Negro and the Negroes of the West Indies. for the emancipation of the colored races, and for the emancipation of the white slaves of modern capitalistic monopoly. Remember here, too, that you do not stand alone. It may seem like a failing fight when the newspapers ignore you, when every effort is made by white people in the South to count you out of citizenship, to act as though you did not exist as human beings, while all the time they are profiting by your labor, gleaning wealth from your sacrifices and trying to build a nation, a civilization, upon your gradation. You must remember that despite all this, you have allies, and allies even in the white South. First and greatest of these possible allies are the white working classes about you, the poor whites who have been taught to despise and who in turn have learned to fear and hate you. This must not deter you from efforts to make them understand, because in the past, in their ignorance and suffering, they have been led foolishly to look upon you as the cause of most of their distress. You must remember that this attitude is hereditary from slavery and that it has been deliberately cultivated ever since emancipation. Remember, but surely the working people in the South, white and black, must come to remember that their emancipation depends upon their mutual cooperation, upon their acquaintanceship with each other, upon their friendship, upon their social intermingling. Unless this happens, each is going to be made the football to break the heads and hearts of the other.
Cross by Langston Hughes. My old man's a white old man, and my old mother's black. And if I ever cursed my white old man, I take my curses back. If I ever cursed my black old mother and wish she were in hell, I'm sorry for that evil wish, and now I wish her well. My old man died in a fine big house, my mom died in a shack. I wonder where I'm gonna die being neither white nor black.
Nikki Rosa by Nikki Giovanni. Childhood remembrances are always a drag if you're black. You always remember things like living in Woodlawn with no inside toilet. And if you become famous or something, they never talk about how happy you were to have your mother all to yourself. How good the water felt when you got your bath from one of those big tubs that folk in Chicago barbecue in. And somehow, when you talk about home, it never gets across how much you understood their feelings as the whole family attended meetings about Hollydale. And even though you remember your biographers never understand your father's pain as he sells his stock and another dream goes. And even though you're poor, it isn't poverty that concerns you. And though they fought a lot, it isn't your father's drinking that makes any difference, but only that everybody is together and you and your sister have happy birthdays and very good Christmases. And I really hope no white person ever has cause to write about me, because they never understand black love is black wealth, and they'll probably talk about my hard childhood and never understand that all the while I was quite happy.
Those Winter Sundays by Robert Hayden. Sundays, too, my father got up early and put his clothes on in the blue-black cold, then, with cracked hands that ached from labor in the weekday weather, made banquet fires blaze, and no one ever thanked him. I'd wake and hear the cold splintering, breaking, and when the rooms were warm, he'd call, and slowly I would rise and dress, fearing the chronic angers of that house. Speaking indifferently to him who had driven out the cold and polished my good shoes as well, what did I know? What did I know of love's lonely and austere offices?
For Poets by Al Young. Stay beautiful, but don't stay underground too long. Don't turn into a mole or a worm or a root or a stone. Come on into the sunlight, breathe in trees, knock on mountains, commune with snakes, and be the very hero of birds. Don't forget to poke your head up and blink, think, walk around, swim upstream. Don't forget to fly.
Josephine Baker, speech at the March on Washington. Friends and family, you know I have lived a long time and I have come a long way. And you must know now that what I did originally for myself. Then later, as these things began happening to me, I wondered if they were happening to you too. And then I knew they must be. And I knew you had no way to defend yourselves as I had. And as I continued to do the things I did and to say the things I said, they began to beat me. Not beat me, mind you, with a club, but you know I have seen that done too. But they beat me with their pens, with their writings. And friends, that is much worse. When I was a child and they burned me out of my home, I was frightened and I ran away. Eventually, I ran far away. It was a place called France. Many of you have been there, and many have not. But I must tell you, ladies and gentlemen, in that country, I never feared. It was like a fairyland place. But I must tell you, when I was young in Paris, strange things happened to me. And these things had never happened to me before. When I left St. Louis a long time ago, the conductor directed me the last car. And you all know what that means. But when I ran away, yes, when I ran away to another country, I didn't have to do that. I could go into any restaurant I wanted to, and I could drink water any place I wanted to. And I didn't have to go to a colored toilet either. And I have to tell you, it was nice. And I got used to it. And I liked it. And I wasn't afraid anymore. So over there, far away, I was happy. And because I was happy, I had some success. And you all know that too. Then after a long time, I came to America to be in a great show for Mr. Ziegfeld. And you know Josephine was happy. You know that. Because I wanted to tell everyone in my country about myself. I wanted to let everyone know that I made good. And you know, too, that is only natural. But on that great, big, beautiful ship, I had a bad experience. A very important star was to sit with me for dinner. And at the last moment, I discovered she didn't want to eat with a colored woman. I can tell you it was some blow. And when I got to New York way back then, I had other blows. When they would not let me check into the good hotels because I was colored, or to eat in certain restaurants. And then I went to Atlanta, and it was a horror to me. And I said to myself, my God, I am Josephine. And if they do this to me, what are they doing to the other people in America? You know, friends, that I do not lie to you when I tell you I have walked into the palaces of kings and queens, and into the houses of presidents, and much more. But I cannot walk into a hotel in America and get a cup of coffee, and that made me mad. And when I get mad, you know that I open my big mouth. And then look out, because when Josephine opens her mouth, they hear it all around the world. So I did open my mouth, and you know I did scream. And when I demanded what I was supposed to have and what I was entitled to, they still would not give it to me. Friends and brothers and sisters, that is how it went. When I screamed loud enough, they started to open that door just a little bit, and we all started to be able to squeeze through it. Not just the colored people, but the others as well. The other minorities too, the Asians, the Mexicans, the Indians, both those here in the United States and those from India. Now, I'm not going to stand in front of you all today and take credit for what is happening now. I cannot do that. But I want to take credit to tell you that the same thing, and when you scream, friends, I know you will be heard. And now, you will be heard.
You do not stand alone.
And no one ever thanked him.
Don't forget to fly.
Be heard now.
From Manchester Valley High School, we have Liliana Ryder performing Dreams by Langston Hughes.
Dreams die. Life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams go, life is a barren field frozen with snow. Dreams by Langston Hughes.
Alone by Maya Angelou. Lying, thinking, last night, how to find my soul a home, where water is not thirsty and bread loaf is not stone. I came up with one thing, and I don't believe I'm wrong, that nobody, but nobody, can make it out here alone. Alone, all alone. Nobody, but nobody, can make it out here alone.
There are some millionaires with money they can't use. Their wives run around like banshees, their children sing the blues. They got their fancy doctors to cure their hearts of stone, but nobody, no, nobody can make it out here alone.
Alone, all alone. Nobody, but nobody can make it out here alone.
Now, if you listen closely, I'll tell you what I know. The storm clouds are gathering, the wind is gonna blow. The race of man is suffering, and I can hear the moan. 'Cause nobody, but nobody, can make it out here alone.
Alone, all alone. Nobody, but nobody can make it out here alone.
The rose that grew from concrete. Did you hear about the rose that grew from a crack in the concrete, proving nature's law is wrong? It learned to walk without having feet. Funny, it seems, but by keeping its dreams, it learned to breathe fresh air. Long live the rose that grew from concrete when no one else ever cared.
Sympathy by Paul Dunbar. I know what the cagebird feels, alas, when the sun is bright on the upland slopes, when wind stirs soft through the spring grass, and the river flows like a stream of glass, when the first bird sings and the first bud opes, and the faint perfume from its chalice steals, I know what the cagebird feels. I know why the cagebird beats his wing till its blood is red on the cruel bars, for he must fly back to his perch and cling when he fain would be on the bough a swing. And the pain still throbs in the old scars, and they pulse again with a keener sting. I know why he beats his wing. I know why the cagebird sings, ah me, when his wing is bruised and his bosom sore, when he beats his bars and he would be free. It is not a carol of joy or glee, but a prayer that he sends from his heart's deep core, but a plea that upward to heaven he flings. I know why the cagebird sings.
From North Carroll High School, we have Gianni Connell performing Incident by County Korryn.
Once riding in Baltimore, heart filled, head filled with glee, I saw a Baltimorean staring straight at me. Now I was 8 and very small, and he was no whit bigger. And so I smiled, but he poked out his tongue and called me. I saw all of Baltimore from May until December. Of all that happened there, that's all that I remember.
From North Carroll High School, we have Noah Glorioso performing The Ballad of the Landlord by Langston Hughes.
Landlord, landlord, my roof has sprung a leak. Don't you remember I told you about it way last week? Landlord, landlord, these steps is broken down. When you come up for yourself, it's a wonder you don't fall down. $10 you say I owe you, $10 you say is due. Well, that's $10 more and I'll pay you till you fix this house up new. What? You gonna get eviction orders? You gonna cut off my heat? You gonna take my furniture and throw it in the street? Uh-huh, you talking high and mighty. Talk on till you get through. You ain't gonna be able to say a word till I land my fist on you. Police, police, come and get this man. He's trying to ruin the government and overturn the land. Copper's whistle, patrol bell, arrest. Precinct station, iron cell, headlines and press. Man threatens landlord, tenant holds no bail. Judge gives Negro 90 days in county jail.
From North Carroll High School, we have Lexi Unren performing Still I Rise by Maya Angelou.
You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but ever still I rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come off as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from the past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slaves. I rise, I rise, I rise.
From North Carroll High School, we have Dylan McQuaid performing Negro by Langston Hughes.
I am a Negro, black as the night is black, black like the depths of my Africa. I've been a slave. Caesar told me to keep his doorsteps clean. I brushed the boots of Washington. I've been a worker. Under my hand the pyramids arose. I made the mortar for the Woolworth building. I've been a singer, all the way from Africa to Georgia. I carried my sorrow songs. I made ragtime. I've been a victim. The Belgians cut off my hands in the Congo. They lynched me still in Mississippi. I am a Negro, black as the night is black, black like the depths of my Africa.
From North Carroll High School, we have Ashley Krieger performing I'm Here by Brenda Russell, Allie Willis, and Stephen Bray.
I don't need you to love me. I don't need you to love. I've got my sister. I can feel her now, she may not be here, but she's still mine, I know. She still loves me. Got my children, I can hold them now, they may not be here, but they're still mine, I hope. They know I still love them. Got my house, it still keeps the cold out. Got my chair where my body can hold out. Got my hands doing good like they're supposed to. Got my heart for the folks that I'm close to. Got my eyes, though they don't see as far now, they see more for what things really are now. deep breath. Gonna hold my head up, gonna put my shoulders back and look you straight in the eye. I'm gonna flirt with somebody when they walk by. I'm gonna sing out, sing out. I believe I have inside of me everything that I need to live a bountiful life. With all the love inside of me, I'll stand tall as the tallest tree, and I'm thankful for every day that I'm given, both the easy and hard ones I'm living. But most of all, I'm thankful for loving who I really am. I'm beautiful. Yes, I am beautiful. And I'm here.
From Silver Oak Academy, we have Tyler Tyson performing "And Tomorrow" by Tupac Shakur.
And Tomorrow by Tupac Shakur. Today is filled with anger, filled with hidden hate, scared of being an outcast, afraid of common fate. Today is built on tragedies, which no one wants to face, nightmares through humanities and morally disgraced. Tonight is filled with rage, violence in the air, children bred with ruthlessness because no one at home cares. Tonight I lay my head down, but depression never stops, gnawing at my sanity, content when I am dropped. But tomorrow I see change, a chance to build anew, built on spirit and intent of heart, and ideals based on truth. And tomorrow I wake with second wind, and strong because of pride, to know I fought with all my heart to keep my dream alive.
From Silver Oak Academy, we have Charles Russell performing "In the Depths of My Solitude" by Tupac Shakur.
I exist in the depths of solitude, pondering my true goal, trying to find peace of mind and still preserve my soul, constantly yearning to be accepted and from all receive respect, never compromising but sometimes risky, and that is my only regret. A young heart with an old soul, how can there be peace? How can I be in the depths of solitude when there are only two inside of me? This duo within me causes the perfect opportunity to learn and live twice as fast as those who accept simplicity.
From Silver Oak Academy, we have Delano Dunmore performing "In the Event of My Demise" by Tupac Shakur.
In the event of my demise, but my heart can beat no more, I hope I die for a principle or a belief that I live for. I will die before my time because I feel the shadow's death. So much I wanted to accomplish before I reached my death. I had come to grips with the possibility and wiped the last tear from my eyes. I loved all who were positive in the events of my demise.
From South Carroll High School, we will have Caleb Klein, who will be performing a piece from Paul Lawrence and Daniel Beatty's biographies.
Born on June 27, 1872, Paul Lawrence Dunbar was one of the first African-American poets to gain national recognition. His parents, Joshua and Matilda Murphy Dunbar, were freed slaves from Kentucky, and Dunbar would draw on their stories of plantation life throughout his writing career. In 1893, Dunbar self-published a collection called Oak and Ivory. He later moved to Chicago and befriended Frederick Douglass, who said Dunbar was the most promising young colored man in America. By 1895, Dunbar's poems began appearing in major national newspapers and magazines, and he published his second collection, Majors and Minors. He proceeded to publish many additional collections, including 4 novels, as well as contributing lyrics to a number of musical reviews. His health declined steadily from 1898 until his death in 1906, at the age of 33. At the time, he was considered America's premier black poet. We Wear the Mask appears in Dunbar's first professionally published volume, Lyrics of Low Life, in 1896.
We wear the mask. We wear the mask that grins and lies. It hides our cheeks and shades our eyes. This debt we pay to human guile. With torn and bleeding hearts we smile, and mouth with myriad subtleties. Why should the world be overwise in counting all our tears and sighs? Nay, let them only see us while we wear the mask. We smile, but, oh great Christ, our cries to thee from tortured souls arise. We sing, but oh the clay is vile beneath our feet and long the mile. But let the world dream otherwise. We wear the mask.
The Plantation Child Lullaby was published in 1905 in a collection entitled Lyrics of Sunshine and Shadow.
Wintertime hit coming, stealing through the night. Wake up in the morning, everything is white. Cabin looking lonesome, standing in the snow. Makes you kinda nervous when the wind hit blow. Coming back from feeding, cold and wet and blue. Homespun jacket, ragged, window blowing through. Cabin looking cheerful underneath the door. Yet you kinda careful when the wind hit blow. Hickory log a blazing, light a looking red. Faith eyes a peeping round the trundled bed. Little feet a pattering clear across the flow. Better have be careful when the wind hit below. Supper done and over, everything is still. Listen to the snowman slipping down the hill. Ashes on the fire, keep it warm but low. What's the use of caring if the wind do blow? Smokehouse full of bacon, brown and sweet and good. Potatoes in the cellar, possum roam the wood. Little baby snoozing, this is if he know. What's the use of caring if the wind do blow?
Daniel Beatty is an award-winning actor, singer, writer, and composer. Last season, he had an extended off-Broadway run of his acclaimed solo play, Through the Night, produced by Darryl Rolfe. His critically acclaimed solo play, Emergency, ran off-Broadway to a sold-out extended run at the Public Theater in the fall of 2006. He was presented with the Lamplight Award from the Black Leadership Forums in Washington, D.C. in the spring of 2008. Emergency, now retitled Emergency, was awarded 2 2009 NAACP Theater Awards, including Best Actor. He holds a BA with honors in English and music from Yale University and an MFA in acting from the American Conservatory Theater. Daniel has also ran a spoken word ballet, Far But Close, that will premiere in the 2012-2013 season for the Dance Theater of Harlem. Beatty's poem Knock Knock, performed next, is a favorite of 11th grade English classes across Carroll County.
As a boy, I shared a game with my father. Played it every morning till I was 3. he would
Knock, knock.
on my door, and I'd pretend to be asleep until he got right next to my bed. Then I'd get up and jump into his arms. Good morning, Papa. And my papa, he would tell me that he loved me. We shared a game.
Knock, knock.
Until that day when the knock never came, and my mama takes me on a ride past cornfields on this never-ending highway. And until we meet a place where, with high, rusty gates, a confused little boy, I entered the building carried in my mama's arms.
Knock, knock.
We reach a room with windows and brown faces. Behind one of those windows sits my father. I jump out of my mama's arms and run joyfully to my papa, only to be confronted by this window. Trying to break through the glass, trying to get to my father,
Knock, knock.
as my mama pulls me away before Papa even says a word. And for years, he has never said a word. And so 25 years later, I write these words for the little boy in me who still awaits his papa's knock. Papa, come home, because I miss you. I miss you waking me up in the morning and telling me that you love me. Papa, come home, because there's still things I don't know, and I thought maybe you could teach me.
How to shave.
How to dribble a ball.
How to talk to a lady.
And how to walk like a man.
Papa, come home, because I decided a while back I want to be just like you, and I'm forgetting who I am. And 25 years later, a little boy cries, and so I write these words, and I try to heal, and I try to father myself, and I dream of a father who says the words my father did not.
Dear son,
I'm sorry I never came home. For every lesson I failed to teach you, hear these words.
shave in one direction in strong, deliberate strokes to avoid irritation.
Dribble the ball with the brilliance of your ballpoint pen.
Walk like a god, and your goddess will come to you. No longer will I be there to knock on your door, so you must learn to knock for yourself.
Knock, knock.
Down doors of racism and poverty that I could not.
Knock, knock.
Down doors of opportunity for the lost brilliance of the black men who crowd these cells.
Knock, knock.
With the diligence for the sake of your children.
Knock, knock.
For as long as you are free, these prison gates cannot contain my spirit. The best in me still lives in you.
Knock, knock.
With the knowledge that you are my son, but you are not my choices. Yes, we are our father's sons and daughters, but we are not their choices. For despite their absences, we are still here, still alive, still breathing, with the power to change this world one little boy and girl at a time.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
We are.
From Winters Mill High School, we have Elizabeth Shirley performing Choices by Nikki Giovanni. She will follow it with Still I Rise by Maya Angelou.
If I can't do what I want to do, then my job is to not do what I don't want to do. It's not the same thing, but it's the best I can do. If I can't have what I want, then my job is to want what I've got and be satisfied that at least there is something more to want. Since I can't go where I need to go, then I must go where the signs point, through always understanding parallel movement isn't lateral. When I can't express what I really feel, I practice feeling what I can express, and none of it is equal. I know, but that's why mankind, alone among the animals, learns to cry.
From Winters Mill High School, we have Emily Eiler performing excerpts from Brown Girl Dreaming by Jacqueline Woodson, accompanied by Winters Mill High School step team and a sign language performer.
February 1963. I am born on a Tuesday at University Hospital, Columbus, Ohio, USA, a country caught between black and white. I am born not long from the time or far from the place where my great-great-grandparents worked the deep, rich land unfree, dawn till dusk, unpaid, drank cool water from the scooped-out gourds, looked up and followed the sky's mirrored constellations to freedom. I am born as the South explodes, too many people, too many years, enslaved, then emancipated, but not free. The people who look like me keep fighting and marching and getting killed, so that today, February 12th, 1963, and every day from this moment on, brown children like me can grow up free, can grow up learning and voting and walking and riding wherever we want. I am born in Ohio, but the stories of South Carolina already run like rivers through my veins. Second daughter's second day on earth. My birth certificate says female, Negro. Mother, Mary Ann Irby, 22, Negro. Father, Jack Austin Woodson, 25, Negro. In Birmingham, Alabama, Martin Luther King Jr. is planning a march on Washington, where John F. Kennedy is president. In Harlem, Malcolm X is standing on a soapbox talking about a revolution. Outside the window of University Hospital, snow is slowly falling. So much already covers this vast Ohio ground. In Montgomery, only 7 years have passed since Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a city bus. I am born brown-skinned, black-haired, and wide-eyed. I am born Negro here and colored there. And somewhere else, the freedom singers have linked arms, their protests rising into song. Deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. And somewhere else, James Baldwin is writing about injustice, each novel, each essay, changing the world. I do not yet know who I'll be, what I'll say, how I'll say it. Not even 3 years have passed since a brown girl named Ruby Bridges walked into an all-white school. Armed guards surrounded her while hundreds of white people spat and called her names.
You don't know my name! You don't know my name!
She was 6 years old. I do not know if I'll be strong like Ruby. I do not know what the world will look like when I am finally able to walk, speak, write. Another Buckeye, the nurse says to my mother. Already I am being named for this place. Ohio, the Buckeye State. My fingers curl into fists automatically. This is the way, my mother said, of every baby's hand. I do not know if these hands will become Malcolm's, raised and fisted, or Martin's, open and asking, or James's, curled around a pen. I do not know if these hands will be Rosa's or Ruby's, gently gloved and fiercely folded, calmly in a lap, on a desk, around a book, ready to change the world. From Westminster High School, we have Nicole Banks performing What I Wasn't Taught in School by Samuel King.
Hi. So before I perform this, I just wanted to say that the author was Samuel King. He lives in the UK, and I'm not really sure what goes on over there, but again, before I perform this, I just want to say I am blessed for the teachers that I have here in Carroll County, and I know that there are so many resources open to me. So my only purpose in performing this poem is to highlight some people who contributed to Black history who we don't normally hear about. So that's all I want to say.
Nicole, is there something wrong, sweetheart?
We learn the same stuff every year for Black History Month. Every single February, we're learning the same things, either apartheid or slavery or the civil rights movement. How many of you guys have actually learned something new these last few years? See, that's what I mean.
Would you like to write the curriculum, boo? Okay, let me go.
No, seriously, do any of you know anything about Ralph Bunche,
No.
the first Black person to win a Nobel Prize? Or that the richest person who ever lived was a Black man named King Musa, the first of Mali? What about Ella Baker? What about Ella Baker? One of the most influential women of the civil rights movement. This is why I can't take Black History Month seriously.
Nicole, you're missing the point. I hear you, but you don't understand. The curriculum is designed to help you think about Black history critically.
Actually, Miss, it's designed to tell us what to think, not how to think. For example, when you taught us that light switched, you taught us that was Thomas Edison who made that happen, when ironically it was actually a darker man who made that light flick, Louis Latimer to be precise. Quite nice when you're talking about Mr. Hamilton and his racing car, but red lights stop. We are always taught that Martin Luther King had a dream. But that dream can't be achieved because our brains are in chains, our minds are enslaved, and we won't get our redemption. Morgan Freeman. Will we ever be free men and leave this state of imprisonment and get that redemption? We need to open our minds. But how can we be taught to see if the blind lead the blind? The first person to develop significant eye surgery was a Black woman named Patricia E. Bath. Now, on this note, there's a question I must ask. If this is such a great opportunity for me to learn and be engaged about our past, why are we not actually being taught about our past? Transatlantic slavery is where you say Black history starts, but is it really? There's a lot you haven't told us, and there seems to be a lot you haven't told us, and you shut down and hold back against the bold ones who stand against the way you're trying to mold us. Consistent enemies of progress. You're surprised because I know things you don't expect me to know yet. And when I tell you you're wrong for telling me about me, you call it a riot. I call it a protest. The Broadwater Farm riots. The media exacerbates and makes it seem like it's a bunch of delinquent youths on the street, when in reality, the first cause of trigger was death at the hands of the police. We cease to know information and the truth, and that's simply because you withhold information from the youth. Maybe one day we'll be satisfied with how our knowledge of history equates, but I'm sure, like me, you're waiting for the teacher to fill in that space. So do so then. No answer. Well, maybe I can help and just throw out there some names. Mary Seacole, a Crimean war nurse. Mary Prince, a Black female author. To be precise, she was the first. Bernie Grant, influential local activist and respected MP. Trevor McDonald, one of the first Black ITN journalists to hit the TV screen. Jamal Edwards in SBTV, and when Fuse ODG brought the Azonto dance to the UK and their feet swayed to the left and to the right like the wipers of a car's windscreen. And when DJ Abrente brought Afro beats to the streets, see, it's funny when we think about our childhood memories. A man who was actually funny, Lenny Henry. Many of us, and the list continues. Marcus Garvey, Bob Marley, Haile Selassie, Fuse ODG, Tupac, Maya Angelou. So many of us, so much to learn in just 1 month. A tip of the iceberg, a tiny grace. And what was the first Black Roman emperor's name? Years passed and we're still caught up in the same civil rights age, which isn't bad if you learn something new, but we don't. And we're not being taught enough about our culture, so there's no one else to blame but you. And if not you, then who? Questions, questions, questions. If you're not teaching us this information, then I'm inclined to believe it's because you don't know. No. You're the teacher. Your job is to teach, so you must know. And if you do, that must mean you don't want us to know, but that's low. If the information is accessible for our knowledge of our culture to grow, then why on earth wouldn't you want to let us know? Why are you focused so heavily on the influential but very few men and women who make things happen for us? Why are my people being highlighted for a predominantly negative past? Why do I know things that you don't, and I'm not the teacher, you are? Why are you focused on our negative past but not on our bright future? Why are you not abreast with the great young things that people are doing in this world? Why are young people's trademarks and stereotypes, gang culture, and young pregnant girls? Why are young people not being given the time of day? And his name was Septima Severus, by the way. I'm sure as a student, the code of conduct has been breached, so I'll stop here and let you do your job. So teach.
Next from Westminster High School, we have Ava Boozy and Haley Gilbert performing If We Must Die by Claude McKay.
Claude McKay was one of the first Black poets of America. He wrote some of the most influential things which would inspire the Harlem Renaissance.
If We Must Die is a poem about racial riots that had frequently broke out in Claude McKay's lifetime. There were many hangings and shootings and a plague of racial tension. This poem reflects on his lifetime. It was also read in Congress to encourage the United States to become involved in World War II, making it a historically important poem. If we must die, let it not be like hogs, haunted and penned in a glorious spot.
While round us bark the mad and hungry dogs, making their mock at our accursed lot.
If we must die, oh, let us die nobly, so that our precious blood may not be shed in vain.
And then even though we defy, shall be constrained to honor us, though dead. O kinsmen!
We must meet common foe, though far outnumbered, let us show us brave, and those for thousands, deal one blow, death one blow.
What though before us lie the open grave? Like men will face the murderous, cowardly pack, pressed to the wall, dying, but fighting back.
Next from Westminster High School, we have Micah Goodwin, who will be performing Beautiful Black Woman by Vernon J. Davis, Jr.
Beautiful black woman, your beauty is surpassed by none. Beautiful black woman, your sense of splendor is like the shining sun, which no one man may hope to control. Beautiful black woman, your mind maintains your glorious power. Beautiful black woman, your spirit is like a shining church tower, which points the way to heaven above and which seeks to find true love. Beautiful black woman, you are the guiding hope of our people. Beautiful black woman, your time is like a precious commodity. Beautiful black woman, your ebony will is strong and free. So take your precious time and your determined will and use them both to emphasize what you really feel. Beautiful black woman, you are the guiding hope of our people. Beautiful black woman, in you lies our future. Thank you.
Next, from Westminster High School, we have Morgan Goodwin performing Black by Oftis TC.
Is there something wrong with being black? Different. Skin color tone war. Is that what our heroes fought for? Why is it necessary for white men to form similes about our color? Is this freedom or what? I feel like being black is a sin. It's really funny how racism is found in the black communities only because it turned on itself. I'm light-skinned, I'm better than. Dark skin is ugly. Is this what we call love? If so, I want none of it. It's disgusting how we can't show love to one another, but expect love from other kinds. Thank you.
From Westminster High School, we have Joe Reynolds and Chance Wilkins performing Mother to Son by Langston Hughes, and will be accompanied by the Westminster High School Steppers.
Well, son, I'll tell you.
Life for me ain't been no crystal stair.
It's had tacks in it.
And splinters.
And boards torn up.
And places with no carpet on the floor. Bare.
But all the time,
I've been a climbing on.
And reaching landings.
And turning corners.
And sometimes going in the dark.
Where there ain't been no light.
So boy, don't you turn back.
Don't you sit down on the steps.
Because you find this kind of hard.
Don't you fall now.
For I's still going, honey.
I's still climbing.
And
life for me ain't been no crystal stair.
Westminster High School, we will have Robbie Wooden with Mackenzie Myers, Caroline Robb, Nicole Banks, Ava Boozy, Haley Gilbert, Joe Reynolds, and Chance Wilkins performing Escape to Freedom by Cy Brandon, and they will be accompanied by the Westminster High School Honors Orchestra.
promise we're almost ready.
This work, Escape to Freedom, is based on the songs used to help people find and travel the Underground Railroad. On this journey, we will meet several characters who were important to the success and freedom of thousands of slaves. Along with myself, the narrator, there is Ned, a Southern Maryland slave hoping to escape, Peg Leg Joe, a white sailor who wore a wooden peg leg and traveled to many plantations, hiring himself out as a handyman and assisting the organization of Escape for Slaves. Harriet Tubman, the abolitionist leader, an ex-slave who was also known as Moses. She was the conductor of the Underground Railroad. John Hunn, a Quaker underground station master from Camden, Delaware, and Frederick Douglass, the abolitionist leader and ex-slave who lived in Rochester, New York, and used his house as a station for slaves on their way to Canada. Join us on our journey through songs and people who led many slaves to their freedom. Imagine yourself as a slave on a plantation in southern Maryland in 1853. You toil in the fields from morning to night, live in a rundown shack, and have little clothing. You are fed daily rations that are hardly enough to keep you alive. You're looking for hope, for anything to get you out. And then you meet Peg Leg Joe.
I'm here to help you escape to freedom, Ned. Come the first signs of spring, sneak away to the woods at night, and join the other slaves heading north.
How will I know where to go?
You will find a trail marked by a human left foot and a round spot in place of the right foot.
I'm scared. If I get caught, I will be whipped or worse, even killed. But my life is now full of pain and torture. You know what? I'll join the others in the spring.
Try that again.
After Pegleg Joe left the plantation, Ned and a few other slaves stole away at night to plan their escape, waiting anxiously for their first sign of spring. Ned and the others would have to be careful. They would need to go deep into the woods to try and avoid the slave hunters and their search dogs. With spring, Ned and his slave companions began their journey north. Along the way, they met Harriet Tubman, who was heading south to lead another group of slaves to freedom.
You must sneak across the Choptank River to a safe house in Camden, Delaware. Look for a lantern on the hitching post. John Hunt and his family will be happy to welcome you into their home, feed you, and allow you to rest.
As Ned and the other fugitives approached the safe house, they realized that John Hunt and his family are white. They are scared of trusting a white family after their plantation experiences, but hearing the hounds in the distance again left them little choice. They knock at the door.
Welcome to my home. Here you can rest for a few days, and my family will feed you well. You are safe here. After you have rested and are fed, you can continue on your journey to Canada, where you will find freedom. When you arrive in Rochester, New York, ask for Frederick Douglass. He will help you from there.
After traveling for several more weeks, Ned and his group came to Rochester and found the house of Frederick Douglass. At night, they approached.
Come in. You can stay at my house until I can arrange a boat ride for you to Canada. Don't leave the house until the boat is ready for you. Thank you. We will never forget your kindness and sacrifice.
Several days later, Ned and the other fugitives were smuggled aboard a boat and arrived safely in Canada.
Thank the Lord, we are free at last.
At this time, we will have closing remarks from Mr. Charles E. Harrison. Mr. Harrison is the chair of the Legal Redress Committee for the Carroll County branch of the NAACP. He is also president of Harrison and Associates, an investigative and security consulting company that specializes in security and counterterrorism. Mr. Harrison began his professional career as an educator in the Baltimore City public school system. He was commissioned second lieutenant in the U.S. Army and became an Army aviator and captain. Mr. Harrison was a recipient of the Vietnam Air Medal, the Combat Infantry Badge, and the Bronze Star Medal. Mr. Harrison held numerous leadership positions in the FBI and U.S. Intelligence Committee. He received many awards for his services. Mr. Harrison is active in the community. He was vice president of the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executive Maryland Chapter, president of the Carroll County NAACP branch, Carroll County Ethics Commission member, Carroll County Community Media Center board member, Shepherd Staff board member, Baltimore ACLU board member, Baltimore Better Business Bureau mediator, and judge for the Carroll County Orphans Court. Mr. Harrison earned a Bachelor of Science degree in education from Morgan State University and a master's degree in criminal justice administration from Coppin State University. He and his wife, Virginia Harrison, have been Carroll County residents since 1977. They have 2 adult daughters. Mr. Harrison credits his many accomplishments to reading. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Charles E. Harrison.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. You know, our future is bright. From what I've observed tonight, we as elderly senior citizens have nothing to fear about the next generation. We're truly in good hands. Why don't we give them another round of applause? There we go. I was just so impressed, Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me to this wonderful event. Special thanks to Superintendent Steve Guthrie and the staff and educators. I know what a job you guys are doing and how terrifically you are accomplishing those tasks. Special thanks go out to Janetta Jamin, Kendra Hart, and Pat Leveroni for helping organizing this event. Really. To Lynn Wheeler, Director of the Carroll County Public Library. Lynn, continue to think outside of the box and to think of creative ways to get these young folks involved in reading and in the library system. Terrific job. And of course, to my good friend Jean Lewis with the FBI. I commend you all for adding this national event promoting diversity in children's literature and spotlighting African American authors, and for adding this event as a part of your Black History activities. I'm a product of a school system that was segregated because of socioeconomic factors and housing patterns. You went to school where you lived. And if you lived in a poor, deprived community, your education was somewhat deprived. And that's what I experienced in southeastern Baltimore County. I went to elementary school, junior high, or middle school, as it's called now, and high school in the same community. The same Black brothers and sisters is what I was exposed to. I was never exposed to any diverse cultures, races, ethnic communities, or anything of that nature. My experiences with other cultures, other communities, from what I saw, came from what I saw on television. And I certainly didn't see a lot on television that looked like me. So it was a little difficult at that time. The picture that was painted of me was painted by someone who did not look like me. And as such, I became and began to adopt what those cultural definitions were of me and to adopt what I was supposed to be in their eyes. I was never exposed to a diverse cultural world. It was through reading that I was able to break out of that cultural bubble and become aware of other possibilities. Being in that cultural bubble impacts among both whites, blacks, Muslims, every culture. So we must continue to strive to break out of that cultural bubble. That bubble limits your capabilities. That bubble limits the way you think about yourself and what your possibilities are. It limits your growth on both sides. So we must continue to fulfill that. It was through the written word of black authors and other authors of diverse cultures filled with real-life positive examples of high achievers that we begin to see ourselves in a different light. We begin to define ourselves somewhat differently from those that have been hoisted upon us. In high school, I resigned myself that I would finish high school, go into the Air Force for 4 years, get out, and as my dad did, go to work as a steel worker at Bethlehem Steel Company in southeastern Baltimore. Then I happened upon a book. It was a little paperback book. I don't know or recall where I got that book from. You know, I may have found it left on the back seat of a Baltimore Metropolitan Transit bus that someone discarded. But I delved into that book. The book was entitled The Spook That Sat Behind the Door. Now, the term spook was a derogatory term that was used back in the day to refer to black people. But the book spoke of a black CIA agent that was marginalized because he was black. It chronicled how he successfully maneuvered his way through the world of spying, through the world of espionage, and it told of his untold travels and experiences he had once he was exposed to the different cultures and the languages and the opinions of a diverse segment of the world population. It removed that bubble. It removed me from that bubble. It was through that reading that I began to ask myself, why can't I do that? You know, I started to question that picture that was painted of me, a young black child in southeastern Baltimore County. Why can't I do that? I can be whatever I choose to be. I can actually see myself doing some of those things, traveling to those countries, which I subsequently did and continue to do through this day, with different languages, different cultures, traveling throughout the world. I saw myself doing those things. And I began to think of myself in terms of, you know, I may not be the sharpest knife in the drawer or the smartest person in the room, but say nothing else about me. Say that I am at least as smart as you are and have the capabilities to become as smart as the rest of the room. Change that concept of yourself. Burst out of that bubble, and you only do that through exposing yourself to other cultures and do that through reading. I got a question of some of the kids. What is this I'm holding? Anybody else? I'm sorry. A book? I possibly can accept that. But actually, you know, this can be anything I choose it to be. But the bottom line is that this is a key. This key opens unbelievable doors. It exposes me to other worlds, other cultures, other thoughts, other ideas, of opinions. It also can be a ticket that's going to take me out of the most undesirable circumstances, situations, home life, school life, and it's going to take me to a place where I'm accepted, a place where I'm appreciated, and a place that I want to be. So I take this to say, use this opportunity get out of that bubble, continue to grow, and continue to thrive. Now, this is titled Think and Grow Rich, a Black Choice. You know, I'm still working on this. I haven't achieved much yet, but I'm still working on it. And I'm still trying to grow and burst out of that bubble. I'm still exposing myself to various languages, cultures, and people. Please continue to do that for yourselves and continue to grow. Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison, for those inspirational words. We would also like to give a special thank you and recognition to the Westminster High School Jazz Band for their wonderful entertainment in the lobby. Thank you to the stage crew for keeping the show flowing smoothly. Thank you for the Carroll Arts Center for allowing us to use your facility. Thank you to all the sponsors that are recognized on the back of your programs. The students appreciate your community support. Thank you to Mindy Gregory from Francis Scott Key High School as she designed the programs and poster cover. Lastly, Korrey and I would like to thank you for allowing us to serve as your host and having front row seats to amazing and talented performers on this stage tonight. At this time, Mrs. Jean Lewis, President of the Carroll County branch of the NAACP, will bring student recognitions and will close the second African American read-in.
With great anticipation, I couldn't wait today for this program. Last year, I thought we couldn't do any better, but it proved me wrong. It was wonderful to have worked closely with our committee. It's a wonderful thing that Jan Jamison and Kendra Hart came to me last year and asked if we would want to be involved. With a resounding yes, I said yes as I quickly jotted down some notes. This year, and not only did we have students reading or reciting, we had songs, we had steps, dancers, and we had an orchestra. Students, you all did a wonderful, wonderful job. And our young MC and Master of Ceremonies, you did a fantastic job. They were really great. And as the other day when we walked up on the stage and we looked to see how everything was going to work out, it came out far greater than we expected. Mr. Harrison, we thank you for your wonderful remarks. They were just right on point, because I too went to a segregated school. Students, we have a certificate of recognition to be given to you. They're out in the lobby and they're listed by your first names. And Penguin Random House generously donated books by African American authors. You will get to choose one. Audience, I just thank you, parents, relatives, friends, neighbors that came. We doubled our crowd from last year. And so I don't know what we're going to do next year because we won't have room for everybody. Most of all, we'd like to thank the Arts Center for so generously giving of their time. This program tonight was streamed live courtesy of the Community Media Center. And it will also play on Channel 19 and I'm sure Channel 21. I thank you so much for coming this evening.